Hi, we're back here at NAB 2022 in the LiveU booth, and I'm joined today by Eric Greendyke from Verizon. Thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
Let's just start with a little introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I work in technology and product development at Verizon, really focused on 5G and MEC use cases, and I know we're going to talk about MEC today. So I look at the intersection of technology and 5G and MEC and how that can create new use cases in the media and entertainment space.
That's great. So hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot too much by asking about Cband first instead of MEC. But tell us a little bit about Cband and what that really means for broadcasters here at the show.
Yeah, sure. So Cband is our mid-band spectrum that we're deploying as part of 5G ultra-wideband. And really what it does is it gives us broader reach in terms of our 5G spectrum. And so while millimeter wave focuses on high dense areas, C-band is going to give us the coverage in a more wider area. And so from a broadcasting perspective, that opens up a lot of possibilities for video contribution and distribution in a broader area across the country.
So now let's get to the juicy one. Tell us about MEC and tell us what MEC can really mean for broadcasters.
Yeah, sure. So MEC is mobile edge compute, or sometimes also referred to as multi-access edge compute. And the idea there is, as Verizon, we've partnered with AWS to bring their cloud into our edge. So if you think about a metro area, all of the cell sites in that area connect to a central hub in that metro area. So we've actually put AWS compute into that hub. And what that does is it lowers the round-trip latency for compute. So if you're doing a workload in the cloud, you can actually do that with a lower latency by connecting to it over 5G and moving it to the edge of the Verizon network.
That's awesome. And you have some MEC demos here at the show today.
We do. So one of those is contribution. So we connected a camera over using a LiveU backpack, and we're doing round-trip latency over 5G, which we have deployed here to MEC and back in about a 6 millisecond round-trip latency. So that's pretty neat to see that live in our booth. And then the other one is distribution. So over 5G. For satellite replacements and things like that, so there's an opportunity there as well. After you've produced your content for distribution.
So after C-band and MEC, what's next up for 5G? I mean, we know 5G's got a lot more potential that'll continue to be unlocked. What do you see coming next?
I think that one of the really interesting opportunities is slicing, and that's something that we are looking at. So. Just to back up a moment, slicing will be enabled by the next generation of 5G core, the 5G core network that's called standalone, and we're working on testing that, and we'll start testing that with some customers this year,
okay.
And I think we'll really see a broader rollout of that through next year. And then the promise of slicing is really to be able to take the public network and take a slice of it, take a lane of that, if you will, off of the highway, and say this is dedicated to you as a customer, and really offer a better SLA to you as the customer. So from a broadcast perspective, obviously that's really interesting because you could be in a venue, a crowded venue, where a lot of people are using the bandwidth there, and you don't know, You want a reliable connection, of course, for your video uplink or downlink or whatever you're doing. So by building that out and by creating a slice, we'll be able to guarantee that for you and say this is your piece. No one's going to encroach on your bandwidth.
I know everybody's looking forward to that. For sure. So we're looking forward to trying that. So over the last year or a little more, what kind of productions has 5G really enabled that you find pretty unique? I know we wanted to talk about Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah. So, some of the things like we're showing in our booth, we've done that out in the wild. You could say
in the real world.
In the real world. And that can be wild. But there's so many different areas where 5G and MEC come together to really rework production and create opportunities there. So, I mean, the Cirque du Soleil thing that we did was really interesting. That was actually part of our partnership with Snapchat. So what we did is we captured some of the Cirque du Soleil performers and performances in volumetric, and then we created an AR lens as part of Snapchat. So right here in Vegas, you could experience that and see it in AR, around Vegas.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Some of the other things that we've done as well for the Super Bowl halftime show, we combined 360 video with AR. So we placed 360 video cameras around the set of the halftime show, and then we created an AR experience that people could place an AR portal into their living room and really get this immersive sense of stepping onto the Super Bowl halftime set and be right there next to the artist. So that was another really interesting one.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was everything I wanted to cover today. Anything else we didn't touch on that you wanted to mention?
I think that the future is wide open with 5G and MEC for the broadcasting space. I think one thing that's really interesting is just the idea of kind of always-on connectivity wherever you are, and I think that's the opportunity for our companies as well, right? Together is like whenever you need connectivity, it will be there.
Yeah, we often describe it as you bring your own bandwidth, which has worked for years, but 5G just really takes that to a true answer. Like I can just sit down here and this is completely reliable, fiber-like latency bandwidth that I'm sitting at.
And you don't have to think about it anymore, right? Like I think that'll be like, okay, we can think about the next thing, the next challenge, and it's just like, that you're going to have connectivity, it's going to be reliable, and it's going to be a lot of bandwidth and low latency. So I think that's just super exciting because I think it's going to help us focus on what's next and enabling new ways to do production, but then also I think that will lead to new fan experiences as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So new ways to consume content and really customize for people on the consumption end as well.
Yeah, so, I agree with 100%. Well, thank you for joining us in the booth today. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And thanks everybody in the audience and everybody in NAB.